Okay, welcome to the Breakdown with Coach Quan. We have a cool guest, a community member that's been with us for a long time. We want to bring in some new information, something fresh, more about BJJ and being a mommy. So we have Coach Lindsay here. Coach Lindsay, how long have you been with us?
Quite a while. I think since 2021, post-lockdown.
Post-lockdown.
Yeah.
And what started you on BJJ?
My family. So my husband started training first before lockdown. Then my daughter started. We wanted her to do it for self-defense reasons.
Yeah.
And then I was at the gym every day and I kind of got roped in. All the coaches were like, you're here, you got to get on the mat. Your family's here, just do it. So I did.
And any regrets with that?
No, not at all. I love it.
So the biggest thing we see with the female community is, why did you stick with it? That's a big question, because obviously we're seeing a large number of female in the sport, competitively and in general. But a big question is, everyone wants to know why you would stick with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
It's a good question. I don't know if everyone does, but I know for ladies, it's like such a physical sport, right?
Yeah.
Like it's close contact. There's always someone who's on top of you. You're always having to defend against what they're attacking with. And then when you've reversed something, you're now attacking and they're defending. So it's just, I think for ladies, it is so like in your personal space.
Yeah. And I think that's more a concern than with guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lady who was around for a couple of sessions, and she said she wanted to like get through that feeling of like the discomfort of having someone on top of her and having to fight. But she said eventually she just couldn't deal with it. But I mean, for me, I don't mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm quite a competitive person, so I don't mind it.
Do you think that is one of the biggest concerns when it comes to the female community, is more about the space of having maybe another guy close to you, never mind just another woman? Do you think that's kind of the biggest concern?
I think so. I mean, that's what I've noticed with the ladies that I've come into contact with. I don't know about anywhere else, but yeah.
Did you have, before you even knew what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was, did you have any like concerns about the sport or previous stories about the sport that kind of concerned you before you like wanted to start? Your husband was starting and you were like, well, I don't know about this karate stuff or something.
Not at all. I mean, I'd watched the UFC with him.
Yeah.
Because he freaking loves it. So I had like some idea of the grappling on the ground. But no, I had no preconceived idea. But I think also having sat on the side of the mat for, I think, months before I was convinced to get on the mat, I'd kind of seen how classes are structured, how people roll, what the expectation is as well.
So how long do you think it took you to kind of get comfortable with everything?
No, I didn't actually have an issue, if I'm honest, from the beginning.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was fine for me.
No, that's amazing. I mean, a lot of people take their time, at least 6 months to a year, for them to actually get into the sport.
Yeah.
So especially with the female community and all the concerns that are around it. But yeah, and obviously your whole family now is involved, right? Who started first? Your husband started first, and then did your kids start straight away?
Our daughter did, like I said. Our son is quite a reserved kid, so it took him a good part of a year to be convinced to get on the mat, and now he loves it. He doesn't want to skip training ever, So
do you think they had a little bit of the same challenges that you kind of thought about?
He did, definitely. My daughter less so. I think maybe she had like an adjustment period as well, just getting used to the rounds, the actual like grappling part of it, not just the drilling. But she's totally into it now. Also loves it.
Loves it.
Yeah.
And what are their ages now?
12 and 9. So he's 9 and she's 12.
And have you seen quite a big progression with it in terms of ages? So when they first started compared to now?
That's interesting. I think my son's progression has been much slower than hers.
Yeah.
But that, again, I think that's a personality thing as well.
Yeah.
He's not pumped on doing the grappling sessions, but I mean, he knows he has to. With her, she did really well really quickly. But now I don't know if it's like an age-related thing or if it's a girl thing where it seems to have slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. As she gets older, maybe maybe like the...
So for her, we're not pushing her too hard because we want her to stick through the teenage years, because we know there's a huge fall off with kids when they like 14, 15, 16, 100%. You know what I mean? So we're super chilled with her. She just has to come to training and just keep working at it steadily, because then we think like once she's made it through those teen years that she'll keep going, because we really don't want to, or either of them to stop. Yeah, 100%.
We'll come back to the kiddies, but for you, any unique challenges that you had? Obviously, it's a very male-dominant sport. So any unique challenges that have come up from white belt to where you are?
Yeah. I think, let me try, like I need to be completely honest about it. It's like being older than, so my regular training partners, in terms of the girls that I train with, I think there's like a 20-year gap. So often I struggle with like their natural youth, their strength, and they're able to move quicker, explode faster, whereas I'm far slower than them. So that's something I've had to deal with. And then rolling, I don't mind rolling guys. There are certain guys I won't, because some guys, you can't fault them on it. They're just more aggressive. Right? And they're in it to fight. So I'm like, I'm quite wary, and I have a very strict list of people that I'll roll with. But I think the age thing is quite a big deal for me. I don't have any older ladies. I think the next closest to me is still within 7 years or something. So there's like a gap, which makes it difficult. But I don't...
What are some things that you could talk about in terms of what you would focus on more that would breach that gap for yourself? So we're kind of talking about an older female and a younger female, right now, and that's the biggest or the most unique challenge you're
100%.
having right now. What do you think you could focus on a little bit more, what you want to focus on a little bit more that would help that situation?
Well, up to this point, what I have focused on is using, like playing from my back, getting really good at like using my legs, because obviously my upper body is not as strong as my legs, right? So I've played that game for a while, but I'm finding now that there's a need to be wrestling up more. So having to actually get used to now, like not playing from the bottom all the time. And the other girls they do wrestle a lot more. So I'm finding that there's a dominance in that as well.
I think it's also more about using a specific guard and mixing it in with the wrestle ups. So it's not necessarily like wrestling, because we all know it makes individuals super tired, much quicker, youth's on your side, and that's why a lot of guys want to kind of like play a guard game. I wouldn't say lazier, but it is less physical attributes are
100%.
used. So more kind of using a specific guard, but instead of just like sweeping, submitting, using it also for a wrestle up. You're feeling like that's giving you a little bit more of an advantage than kind of just playing on your back in a guard, looking for sweeps and submissions.
100%.
I mean, it's a topic that people don't talk about a lot. You know, once you do get older, especially as a female, people don't want to talk about stuff like that. But like wrestling is obviously the be all and end all when it comes to grappling. But there comes a time, especially if you started later on, you have to know how to include it in your game.
100%.
And I think now you're realizing that a little bit more, but to a specific of not just full out wrestling, and scrimmaging with everyone, but using it to your advantage in a guard. And that's helping a lot. Because the guard, I think, also allows you to slow down the game a little bit more. Which is exactly what I've been using, especially with Spider Guard, just getting them to stop moving. I think, but also to be clear, is like the girls who are higher level, needing to change my game for that. It's obviously the girls who are starting that kind of is nullified, because but it's the girls that are on the higher level, the blue belts, the higher level white belts, having to start changing how I've done it until now. And listen, you're only a blue belt right now, so it's not like you've hit into purples and browns, but right now that is kind of what you're struggling with. Cool. So the next big question is understanding how you balance your life. You obviously got 2 kids, you're a wife, full-time mommy, and obviously with the schooling as well. So how are you balancing BJJ and all of that?
It's difficult. Like I loved it so much when I got into it that it started consuming a lot of my time. I was like, any free time, I'm on YouTube watching tutorials, like trying to improve, right? It can really consume you. It's not a hobby like let's go play tennis or paddle. It requires thinking and planning, and you have an end goal every time you come for a session. So I found for a while, like I got really tired every session I was here because I'm now trying to negotiate feeding kids and running around and then having to do this and that, and then you come for a session in the evening and I'd be like absolutely exhausted. So for now, it's like just I've had to compartmentalize. Like when I'm home, I'm dealing with what I need to at home, and then like having to switch my mind like afternoon before I have sessions here, and actually trying, even though I'm tired from a long day, like coming here and being like, okay, we have to try and give as much as I can.
Yes.
It is difficult.
And I think not getting angry with yourself or irritated with yourself when you are tired and you know you can't give 100%, but you're doing to the best of your ability, right?
Yeah. No, and it's not, like I said, it's not a sport where it's just like, we're here for an hour and we're out. Like you have to be mentally there. You're essentially playing chess physically, and so you are engaged like the whole time that you're training. To be dead honest, I'm tired every day after training.
So no secret to it. There's no secret to it. No special diet, special exercise.
Hey, to be fair, I've had to since I became more intentional because I got injured really early on. So I make sure that I'm eating, that I'm actually, I do strength and conditioning at home as much as I can. Mobility stuff has been huge. I've had to increase that. I've found in the last 3 years, I've needed to do a lot more strength conditioning and mobility stuff at home, not just because it helps. I'm finding little random tweaks, you know. But then what I do is when I am doing that, I try and get the kids involved as well. I'm like, okay, it's going to benefit you guys too.
As it's benefiting me,
100%, and then we do it all together, and then hubby as well when he has a chance.
Make it a family event.
100%, and they're enjoying it.
You did mention now that you got injured. Let's talk a little bit about that. So earlier on in your career, when you started, unfortunately, you did get a major injury, which put you on the back burner for a bit. So what happened?
Oh, geez. Okay. I had a sternum injury, so I was in close guard, I think, and the girl I was rolling stood up. I mean, we were both brand new white belts, so both still very unsure of what we were doing, and we were just going at it. It was pure physical fight. And she dropped me onto the mat and shouldered my chest. So, I was out for like 4 months. It was awful. And I've had a couple of other injuries, but those I have to admit were my own fault. Like, I think I broke my wrist, but that was framing incorrectly. So when someone hip switched, my wrist went. And those, so I've learned also through each injury, I'm like, what my body is able to do, what it's not. When I see someone moving in a certain way, like I've been hurt that way before, I'm a little bit more reticent to hold on to certain things because I just want to look after my body. I want longevity in the sport.
If someone's going to pass, you don't have to injure yourself
100%.
to stop it. Like
100%.
if they're going to pass, allow the pass and carry on with the roll. I think guys fight kind of to the death where they get injured, do stupid things, as well as not understanding, like you said, not as young as you used to be. So now, what's kind of the point? You know, you lose a round, cool, but you get to roll the next round, and so forth. Instead of having that mentality of like, I'm gonna fight until I get injured, and then I'm out for 6 months.
But that's what the injuries have taught me. I think some people who haven't been injured might not feel that. But also, I will add to that, in the last 2 years maybe, I think maybe actually last year it really hit me that I'm not using my rounds to win as if I'm in a competition. What I'm trying to do now is go in every session that I come in, I try and have a game plan. I'm trying to work on maybe this takedown specifically and a pass I'm working on. And I'll try and work that with every person I'm doing rounds with. And inevitably, I'm getting absolutely smashed. But I'm not getting injured, but I'm also trying to work on, like you said, aspects that I've been struggling with that I need to improve on. I try and work on those.
Winning those micro goals every
100%.
day, 100%.
So I'm using it more as personal development rather than I need to win this round to prove to myself and everyone that I'm good.
But that is the correct way, and I think that's where you're going to get more benefit. So that's great that you're doing that, and you feel that that way's definitely prevented you from a lot of injuries compared to what
100%.
your mindset was.
Because I'm more focused. I'm
Yeah.
not just trying to stop things or move spastically to get to something. I'm
Yes.
trying to think, okay, I'm in this position now. If it's a technique that I know, I try as much as possible now. I'm like, I know that technique well enough that I would automatically go for it.
Yes.
I'm trying to put it aside and use something new that I'm not good at, that I'm
Yes.
still trying to learn the mechanics of.
Yes. Well, that's good. Let's hopefully someone can take a goodness out of that. And then the training. Since you started training, how has that kind of affected the family life and your life in general daily? Is there any positives or negatives to it?
I think there's only positives. Like,
Yeah.
my kids have become, we always joke, them and their friends are gym rats.
Yes.
I mean, we're here 4 or 5 times a week training. So my kids are always on the side of the mat. When their training sessions are done, they're waiting for the adults class to be done. So they're always here, they're always watching. We're often talking about jiu-jitsu on the way home.
Yes.
Like, we all have bad rounds.
Yeah.
Then they'll hear my husband and I saying, oh, we struggled with this, or this was a bad day, or we did well here. And then they'll have their 2 cents worth. How did they do? How are they feeling about it? I think it's been a bonding experience.
That's it.
Like, honestly, because we'll watch something. Like, now my kids are, especially my son, totally into the UFC. He wants to watch all the fights. But he's starting to say, hey, I see that. I learned that from my coach.
Yeah.
My daughter as well. She'll be like, oh, I know what you're doing. Or can you help me with something? So it's
Kind of
more
like
than
kind
just...
of family event type of thing,
100%.
right? That everyone gets involved instead of like dad does X, mom does
Yes.
Y, and the kids
Yes.
do Z, you
Yeah.
know? It's kind of everyone's involved in the same thing. Every day you guys are kind of talking about something, bonding
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I think it's very unique because how many families say of the kids that you know that are friends with your kids, how many of those families have that kind of bond, would you say? Not in an ugly way,
Yeah, 100%.
but like that they can all chat about an event every day, like BJJ going home, like you said, what's so cool, you're in the car, so how was your rounds?
Yeah.
I didn't do good with this. And it teaches us other things like failure and success and so forth.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard lesson for the kids to learn. So we often are working through that. You know, they'll moan about a training partner. Today was a bad day. They hurt me. I'm like, well, hurt is a very loose term for jiu-jitsu. Like,
Yeah.
things are going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So also, helping them through all of that.
And with the kids, get back to the kids, like
Yep.
what are the biggest benefits you're seeing with your kids right now, physically and mentally, involving also within their school life as well?
Mental toughness.
Okay.
Yeah, just having to get through it. Like I said, my son is far more reserved, and so he doesn't win a lot when rounds come up.
Yes.
And
But he's much younger. It is an
exactly,
age
he's
thing.
9.
Yes.
Exactly. So we've just said to him, well, you just have to try.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the first day he got in the car and he was like, I want 2. So there's like a small win for him. And with him, it's just like you have to be at training. You can't be skipping. You have to do rounds, you know?
Yes.
The only time they're allowed to skip if it's an injury that is actually an injury. Like my daughter hurt her knee recently. So we're like, sit out 2-3 sessions. Let's see how your knee feels. And then you're back at training. Like you don't have an option.
Rather take a day and not train with the injury
100%.
and get re-injured
Yeah.
even worse than...
Yeah. But then they're learning that they have to do things that are difficult, right? I think
And
it's
you don't have
too
a choice
easy.
kind of thing. Like in life, you
100%.
don't have a choice. You've got to start something, you've got to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't help them that we're here as well.
Yeah.
So because my husband and I are here, they have to be here too. But they, like I said, they actually do enjoy it.
Do you see like aspects of better confidence in them with their other friends? Do you see anything in terms of like the school, like their attention span being better or maybe even worse, depending on their personalities?
Yeah, my daughter is quite academic, so if she's like I've seen in a training session, she can sit and focus on the coach, whereas my son, boys are all like that. They have like 2 minutes and then they're looking at the other classes or, you know. So as yet, I haven't seen it for him. But the focus in that, he can say to me from beginning to end, in class I did this and this and this and this.
Yes.
That has improved, where he's able to keep track of everything that's going on rather than, I just remember this one thing that happened. Like, so I think that has been good for him too. He's like just his retention for, I mean, it's an hour, 45-minute session for the kids. So he's able to retain all of that information.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, confidence levels, like I said, going back to that, do you see as they've got, because they started a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
So you've seen it like all kids when they get on the mat, they're not kind of enthusiastic about the sport.
Yeah.
You know, and have you seen a big change with that?
Yeah. My son, like I said, would refuse to. He'd sit on the side of the mat in every training session. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start for a year.
Yeah. So what do you have advice to parents, their kids that are like that?
It's easier if you're training or they have a sibling that's training and they're there in the gym and they're seeing the kids on the mat. Eventually kids want to get involved. So for him, it was just persistence. Honestly, the coaches were asking him every session, come join us on the mat. You don't have to do the whole, come join us. And eventually he gave in. Now he'll run to the mat happily. Cheers. You know?
What I've seen with you guys is that you guys as a parents, as a unit, are an example. So you guys don't just say, oh, go. We see it a lot with parents. Oh, you must train, but the parents are not training. Or the parents are not being examples. Where with you and your husband, it's total opposites. Like you guys in the gym every day, you all guys are always on the mat. So I think it's easy for your children to actually go, oh, okay, well, mom and dad are always doing this, and they're telling me to do it. So okay, cool, no problem. I think it is much easier for a kid to see it that way compared to like we see a lot of the kids that don't want to get on the mat. The parents are forcing them, but the parents are not actually getting involved. So.
No, I agree. But that again is, if your whole family's there, it becomes like it is a bonding thing, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So you can talk about it and work through things, and it is much easier than sending your kids. But that being said, if I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu, and I found it for my kids, I would still force them even if I wasn't doing it. It's so good for them.
That's great to know. Okay.
Like, honestly.
Yeah. So regardless if you fell in love with sport or not, your advice would be there's no choice. You see the benefits
100%.
with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the kids,
100%.
and you would basically force them. That's how it is.
100%. So there's another mom that's recently started. Her kids have been doing it for a while. And I've managed to convince her to join us. I mean, and she's my age. Yeah. And she's absolutely loving it. But for her, amazing. She said to me, she's loving the fact that she's found something for herself now, right? So she does an afternoon session followed by the evening session. And she's like, in that time, she's doing something that she suddenly enjoys. It's physical. And she said, to be honest, all moms need it. There's a time where you just want your kids away from you. Yes. And so she can focus on herself, and she's absolutely loving it. And there is that thing as well. Like being on the mats, my training partners, we're friends, right? Yes. So when we're on the mats, we're talking rubbish and, we're messing around, we're having a good time, even though we're training hard. And there's that aspect to it too. Like the community is also, once you make friends, it's also more difficult to stop. Yes. Right? Because then, like, if someone doesn't pitch up, of like my close training partners, I'll message them, why aren't you here today? What's wrong? Are you injured? Do you need something? Can I help? And that also keeps you around, especially as a parent, because often work gets in the way, life gets in the way, and you're like, I just don't want to train today. 100%. I'd rather just stay home. But then there's someone who's kind of like knocking at your door, are you coming to training? Yeah. You know?
Well, saying that, your advice for moms.
Yep.
You've already spoken about it and convinced one of the community members to do it, but advice to moms, the biggest excuse we hear, not excuse, but reasoning, is that they don't have time as a mom to join the sport. But you're a perfect example of that.
You find your way around things, right? So, like I said, my kids are here every night almost. So I make their supper, I cook in the afternoon. So when they come to the gym, food's sorted. I don't have to now think about it at 8 o'clock at night when we get home to now make supper. So it requires some planning, which can be difficult. Like when you're running around between school and other sports maybe, you just got to plan ahead. And it's not nice, it's not fun. But you can make the time.
Yes.
And it's,
if you want to.
if you truly want to.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, like, it's just such a fun sport. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's hard work, but I always leave here, no matter how I did, I always physically feel better. And I feel like mentally, I've cleared my mind from the day and all the stuff that's happened in that day. I'm like, okay, I feel better. It's like that endorphin rush from doing proper exercise is so good, because then I'm also not a terrible mom for the rest, for the next day. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. But this is what people don't talk about, you know. And also, it's an environment where, say, you had another hobby.
yeah,
You couldn't kind of get your kids involved. Say you wanted to lift weights, like they couldn't be in the gym, you know. You would have to find time, and maybe dad had to take care of them. But in this hobby, in this community, well, the kids are here. I can also train.
Yes.
At the same time, afterwards, the kids can still, you know, it's more convenient than inconvenient. And I think a lot of moms don't realize how convenient it can be for them, especially where we are, compared to them, I think, joining another sport industry or something where they would have need someone to take care of the kids. Yeah. And then the women in the industry, in terms of how women have been seen and are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You started a while ago. How has it shifted over the years compared to the present day now?
It's a very interesting question. I mean, I feel like I haven't been doing it long enough to have a vast knowledge of previously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now
it's more
even
popular
in the last
now?
it is to a certain extent. Again, you'll have women, even friends of mine whose children maybe do it, and they're like, I can't get my mind around being on the floor covered in sweat, having to fight someone.
But they're talking about it, right?
But we're talking about it. I mean, I'm the person who's advocating BJJ as much as possible.
Yeah.
But what I am seeing is the women who are sticking it out at the moment in our gym, they really enjoy it. They're not just here because they feel like it's something they have to do. I'm not forced to do it. And so they are more eager to learn. That's the best thing to say. Like in our ladies class, there was a time where there were very few of us, but we've had a couple of ladies join, and the ladies that are there actually want to learn. They're like, give me information as much as I can, and they also are wanting to do rounds. So that's something else with ladies, especially the older ladies as well, is they'll come and they'll drill, but they don't want to do the rounds. Actually put it to the test.
And I think that's maybe a confidence thing.
100%. Yeah, it's the fear of having to try something new, really. But now, recently, the girls are like, hey, let's do it. Okay, I'm brand new, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll take on 1 or 2 rounds, actually trying. So the eagerness seems to be there now with the ladies who are sticking it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's good news. And then with gyms, all of us are trying to grow the female community. What's some pointers, advice to explain to individuals that own other gyms as well, what makes females more eager to get into the gym or more comfortable to get into BJJ, you think?
It's a difficult fight because naturally women are not aggressive like that.
Yeah.
I feel like innately women don't want to
be violent,
get in someone else's face.
100%.
And do you know what I mean? So I don't know that you can convince women. You can't make it come to this thing, make it a flowery thing. Oh, it's amazing. You're going to feel so empowered. You will, but you can't.
Just getting it broken down first.
This is the thing. It's a very humbling sport, and it's very physical. So it's off-putting from the start for chicks to actually take that step to get on the mat. I don't know. I really don't know, because it is a difficult thing.
Maybe a good progressive coaching program. For instance, like we have the 7-day free trials. They come in, they get an understanding of what it is, and then from there they're getting into a fundamentals class. You know, it's I think small stages until they're in an actual general class with a whole lot of people. I think that does help a lot of new people in general. But with females, it's even hard to, for instance, you involved a bit with the female only class.
Yes.
But it's not massive yet. And,
Yeah.
you know, you have the girls that come and then they don't come, and, you know, they kind of want to be in the general class, but then they just want to be with the females. You know, there's a lot of mixed feelings and emotions with them.
Yeah. You say that, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that's
Yeah.
there are those aspects to it as well with women. Like they come onto the mat and they are far more aware of how they might look or feel in a gi. Right?
Yeah.
A guy throws a gi on and he's cool, we're going. And women have these, like, they might in the back of their mind, it's like plaguing them. Because, I mean, the training clothes, they're not flattering, they're not made to be pretty, right? You're here to grapple. So some ladies don't like that.
Yeah, they're here for a purpose of the sport.
Yes.
And, I mean, we've had funny conversations about it quite a bit in terms of, like, we're trying to find, say, leggings for the females. You know, you ask one female, how's this? Oh, it's amazing. You ask the next female, how is it? And they're like, oh, this is totally shit. And you're like, okay, well, you know, what do we do now? The gi's too tight, it's too loose, it's not fitting in, it's too high. It's, you know, and every single person has their own style that they want to come in with. But like you said, it's like, you're not coming for that. You know, put it on. It's a tool. The gi or the uniform is a tool, and you're getting on the mat to learn a skill and to get something done. And I think it's hard, especially in the beginning, for new females to get their mindsets around that. You know? It's not gym culture. You know?
No, exactly.
And I think there has been a crossover with gym culture, and I think more in the no-gi world, where what I mean by gym culture is like, you know, the fancy rash vest and the short shorts and the fancy leggings and, you know, the style of this and style of that, where a gi, it's a piece of cloth. There's 100%. Only so many ways you can style it, and I think with the female, especially in the no-gi sport, it's kind of a little bit of the gym culture has trended and leaked into it. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I think women are, we know, like, far more worried about the aesthetics.
Yes.
So there's no, to go back to the question of getting women into the gym, there's no easy answer. There's no, if you do X, Y, Z, you're going to have this influx of women. It's a sport that doesn't lend itself to women. What you're training in doesn't lend itself to most women. And the ladies that do actually stick it out tend to be the ones that are okay with whatever. We're here to fight and train. We're okay with that. So I think the percentage of women in a gym, any given gym, is always going to be lower
I totally agree
than
with that,
what you would want it to be.
Yes.
Like, ideally, I would love us to have 50 chicks coming to a ladies' class because it's going to help them. If anything happens, you can, like, you have an awareness of how to use your body against an opponent, right?
And you're testing yourself every day.
You're always testing yourself. So I think it would help women, but I can't expect general women to be like, I love this thing, I'm going to stick it out. It is a very difficult thing.
So it cancels out, you know, people love to say jiu-jitsu is for everyone, and I always say it's not for everyone.
It's for men, more than women.
But in terms of also like making a gym more welcoming to females, I think a big thing, agree or disagree with me, it's like cleanliness, having a clean gym, you know, a friendly environment, a correct introduction of jiu-jitsu, a program that introduces them correctly. I think that plays a big role more to females than to guys.
100%.
Guys don't mind coming into like a dungy, like messy, stinky gym, but a female, if she rocks up into a gym that's like that, her first 100%. Thought is like, get me out of here. So
I mean, I've gone to do an open mat at a gym, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? This is not, but I mean, I'll do it anyway. I think chicks also need to see other chicks on the mat. And so we do have women. So if you're a gym that doesn't have any women, it's not likely you're going to get women in the gym because it's too intimidating. But if there are ladies on the mat, and especially for the new ladies, what I'll try and do is some sessions roll with the ladies who are new. Just to let them practice what they know. It's good for them as well to see that there is a possibility of progression, that there are people to roll, that's not just guys. And
any misconceptions in the sport that you see moms that are not involved in the sport that like kind of talk about, that you could talk about in terms of clearing that up, because there's always a lot of misconceptions with our sport. Like I said, it's a human on a human, and a lot of people start making their own assumptions up,
I mean, you're laughing. It's probably the standard question I get is, isn't it weird rolling a man? Like, you're like grabbing each other all over the place. I'm like, there's nothing dodgy about it at all. I'm trying to survive here. I'm like, and not in a bad way, because I'm training, none of that stuff actually matters. Yes, we're sweaty, and I'll joke about the fact that I've had sweat drip in my eye and my ear. But again, it's things that women don't like.
Yes.
So, but I'll always try and bring it back to those things happen, but it's still an enjoyable sport. It's something worth trying out. Try it out. It's worse in no gi, so stick to gi. If sweat grosses you out, don't do the no gi class. Just do the gi. But for ladies, the biggest thing is how gross it is. Like you're sweaty and everyone stinks.
Yeah.
And that is huge.
That's why I think having always a clean gym. Uniforms that are always clean. It will help that misconception, and people maybe get a little bit comfortable quicker. In the industry,
Maybe guys quicker than ladies. Unfortunately, it is really hard for women to get over the big aspects of so many men. And
how would females get over it? That's the thing. So, like, what can gyms do, or individuals do, coaches do, to help those type of females get over that?
I don't know that you can change how a woman feels. So that's why I'm like, the girls that stick it out are generally the girls that are not as bothered by that. I mean, to be fair, last night I was joking about the fact that someone I rolled stank, but I'm like, I'm not grossed out by it enough to not train. But some ladies, you just can't. You can't convince people. I think with anything in life, you can't like convince them so much and try and manipulate them to get them to love it. You either love it or you hate it. I actually said to my kids, my daughter said to me the other day, she had this realization, even with the kids, that jiu-jitsu is almost like Marmite. You love it or you hate it, right? So some kids will try it, and you can see they hate it. Same with the ladies. Like, love it, hate it, you're going to, you'll always have a divide, and the people that love it will stick it out.
100%. It's a good one, Big question, laundry. When it comes to BJJ moms, do you have any secret tips for us and the BJJ moms in terms of it's worse for you because you have a whole family
100%
in terms of involved with the sport. So you have on a night 4 gis to get washed, no gi, all of that. So how do you deal with all of that?
Prepare yourself to do washing every day.
Okay.
I wash the gis every training session.
Do you have like a secret recipe of...
No. I will say white gis are awful to keep clean, especially with the kids, because they'll run around. They get dirty quite quickly. But, I mean, I have to constantly spray with Vanish. I soak... One thing I do is once a week, the white gis get soaked.
In what?
Bicarbonate vinegar, in the bath, in water. Let them soak. Try and draw out...
And you say it works,
To a certain extent. They're still sweating. Like, they do get old. But... it's not easy. No, you just have to learn to wash every day. My kids know. We get home, everything goes in the washing machine from that night, run a load, then it's like up. And it's every day.
So system.
It just is.
You have to stick to the system.
You just have to.
And if someone stuffs up the system, then...
The problem is you can't wear dirty stuff. That's my only gripe with my kids. So sometimes they'll forget. And I'm like, guys, you need a clean uniform for that day. You can't forget to wash things. Because you really can't get on the mat with a used rashi. No amount of deodorant and perfume is going to hide the fact that you stink and that it smells like sweat. So it is. It's just getting into a routine.
100%. And then for you, as a BJJ mom, how's BJJ changed your mindset and your confidence in everyday life compared to when you didn't do BJJ?
I've always been a confident person, so I don't know that that's changed, but it's given me more self-awareness and situational awareness. Little story, I had an issue with a guy, and I remember in the moment we were arguing with each other, and he aggressively stepped towards me, and I was like, he's going to throw a punch. And in that moment, I was like, how do I arm drag, take the back. I'd already started working out scenarios. Nothing happened post that, but what surprised me is I'd already, as soon as we started up with each other, I'd already started thinking, what can I do if this becomes physical?
100%.
So I haven't had to use BJJ, but I just feel like
Mindset's changed totally.
100%. Just in that I'm aware of situations more. I'm aware of people that are around, and I'm aware of myself and my strengths and weaknesses. Like BJJ, I think for anyone,
Yes.
but for myself, it's made me fully aware of what I can do and can't do, which is both humbling, but it's also quite cool because I'm like, I'm really good at certain things. I've managed to push myself more than I ever thought I would. Like pre-BJJ, I wasn't that active. Like I played sports, I was fit, but like I worked really hard, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, I feel like I can pat myself on the back. I've stuck it out, and I have gotten stronger. I have gotten better. And that's really awesome. It's just learning that I can push myself.
But I also think that's kind of like a superpower, because a lot of people don't know their limits. They don't know any of what you've just spoken about, And just having the understanding of everything, look, a small situation, made your mindset a little bit different, that you could deal with it, mentally. And then if it got
100%.
physically, you would, every day you get physical with people. So it's not something that's going to override your system. And that's a big thing that I try also to explain to guys as well as females, is that every day you're doing violence. So violence doesn't now become a shock to your system to a certain degree. Obviously different levels of violence, but you are doing something that you're not really phased of it. Maybe when the guy
100%.
was, for instance, a person that didn't do BJJ, getting confrontation with someone and maybe getting shouted at, that's a level of where they'll just break down, because now vocally it's getting loud. Where, people that do BJJ, like they are physically violent with each other every day, that they're it's kind of normal, And I think in your head, you're like, well, okay, if I have to do X, Y, Z, then that's what I have to do.
And it doesn't hurt, like, to know that I have enough training, I can handle myself. But I always think, like, if something were to happen, I know more than the person that maybe is coming at me. While I may not win, I feel like I have a confidence in myself now that I can look after myself better than I used to, and also my kids. Like, I'm always with my kids, driving them here, dropping them there, doing these things while, like, yes, my husband too, but when I have the kids, I feel more confident that I can look after them and myself more adequately than I could have before.
Yes, and that's a big thing. That's a major
huge.
thing.
It's huge.
Just taking that aspect, I think that's more worth than anything. 100%.
Just confidence.
And then we're always trying to get females and mommies in. What advice could you give to people, mommies that are watching, females that are watching, to actually not hesitate to start training?
I think, and this also goes back to something you said, just give it a go, and if your kids see you trying it out, they're more likely to want to try something, especially something difficult. Like, we don't realize how much they're watching us and listening to us. I mean, you can tell when your kid says something and you're like, oh, shit, they got that from me. You know what I mean? They're always learning. If you give it a go, your kids are more likely to go, hey, if she can, or if my dad can, then I'm going to give it a try as well.
You hit it. For me, I see it every day, as well as you in the kids' class every day. You know, I'm always here. And it's like, if you're not going to train for yourself, then train for your kid. You know, we see so many parents come in with, the kids got so many different problems, There's thousands of problems they come up with. And to fix that, it's like, well, just be an example for your kid. So even if you don't train for yourself, I would say get on the mat just for your kid to be comfortable, to be an example of it. And I feel you're only going to get benefits from there on.
100%. Totally agree.
And the last one, obviously been in the sport for quite a while now. Simple, easy one that everyone asks is, what advice would you give yourself when you started, or anything that you would change to give you a little bit of a slingshot of where you are today?
Definitely changing how you do your rounds. So that's been huge for me.
Right.
It's difficult to
explain
handle.
that
So
in a little
like
bit
I had
detail.
said, is when, for the longest time, using rounds as if it was a competition. I have to beat everyone. And a trap that people fall into is, oh, the coaches are around, the coaches are watching. I need to win now, because if I don't, then the coach... we have to be honest in our sport that grading, getting your stripes, that motivates people, right? And when you don't, you kind of get stuck in this, like, no one's noticing, I'm trying, but then you always try and win, which means you're not getting better at technique. So I would have told myself from the get-go, use your rounds to practice techniques.
Yeah.
I got given advice and it changed like how I thought about it, which is why I then switched over, is have 3 goals. I always try and have a short-term goal, so within the next 3 to 6 weeks, there's a technique I'm working on that maybe I used, but I've not graded it. Okay, try and get good at that short-term. Mid-term goal in the next 6 months, and then a long-term goal, whether it's a year or slightly longer. And so I'm always trying to work in stages. And as soon as I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, hey, I've gotten good at X, Y, or Z, I don't put it aside, but I try and replace it with a new technique. So I'm always working phases and then using my rounds to practice those 3 things that I've already planned. So planning ahead is always good. Using your rounds to practice what you're working on, not always having to win. Unless it's a comp class, then obviously now you're here to actually work as a competition, and asking questions. That's something I also didn't do because of the fear. There's an intimidation as well. If I ask the coach, does that mean the coach is going to think I'm bad at this? There's all these issues. Just ask a question. There's this one thing I'm struggling with, or can you help me with a whole sequence I'm struggling with, or I'm in a slump. Can you give me some advice on something to do? Ask questions, right? Yeah. The reason your coaches are where they are is because they've worked through that.
Yes.
Yeah. And just stick it out. Just don't stop.
You're going to have good days and bad days.
100%.
People don't understand,
And you just have to work through it. And yes, if you need a short break, take a break as well. That's something else, is not training through injuries. So I've also had an injury that I just trained through. I was like, it'll be fine. I didn't get better.
Got worse.
Right? It got worse. So sometimes you do need to take a break. Just let your body heal, but then get back to it. Don't get stuck in I'm just going to stay home. It's easier if I stay home, or if I go do something else. Get back into training as soon as you can.
That's right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that's great information for all the BJJ mommies out there and the females. It was great to always speak to you. We see each other every day anyway. But guys, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment down below if any new episodes or topics that you guys want us to talk about.